Commander Zixthala had seen warfare across 17 different star systems, witnessed the brutal efficiency of the Korthak Legion, and survived the plasma storms of Vega Prime. Nothing in his 2 centuries of military experience had prepared him for what stumbled out of the battered human transport ship. The distress signal had been weak, almost apologetic. "This is cargo vessel Terra's Promise." Their transmission had crackled through the comm systems of the Galactic Defense Station Omega-7, were carrying civilian evacuees from Earth's agricultural colonies, requesting safe passage through the Xerion conflict zone. Zixithala's 4 eyes had rolled in exasperation. Another group of soft-skinned refugees seeking protection through one of the most dangerous war zones in the galaxy. The Xerion system had been a meat grinder for months, with 3 different alien species locked in brutal combat over mineral rights. His orders were clear: provide safe escort to any non-combatant vessels, but expect casualties. Clearance granted, he had replied, his translator converting his chittering language into the human's crude audio-based communication. Stay close to our formation. The Xerions don't distinguish between military and civilian targets. What emerged from the human vessel, however, defied every assumption Zixthala had made about Earth's inhabitants. The first figure to step onto the docking bay was an elderly female, her hair white as Proxima Centauri's ice moons, her skin weathered and scarred. She carried herself with a strange confidence, her pale blue eyes scanning the alien environment with calculating precision, rather than the terror he expected from a refugee. "Ma'am, I'm Commander Zixthala," he announced through his translator, his mandibles clicking nervously. "We'll escort you through the conflict zone." "But I must warn you, son," the old woman interrupted, hefting a worn duffel bag over her shoulder. "I've been through worse than whatever's waiting out there. Dames Margaret O'Brien, these are my people." Behind her came others, dozens of them, men and women of various ages, all carrying that same inexplicable composure. Their clothing was simple, practical. But Zixthala noticed details his military training had taught him to recognize. The way they moved in formation without being told, how their eyes constantly swept for threats, the casual manner in which they handled equipment that looked suspiciously like weaponry. "Commander," his aide, Lieutenant Mordak, whispered through their private channel, "these don't appear to be ordinary civilians. The biometric scanners are detecting elevated muscle density, enhanced reflexes, and, sir, their stress hormones are actually decreasing as we approach the combat zone." Zixthala studied the humans more carefully. The old woman, Margaret, was now examining one of their plasma rifles with the critical eye of someone who understood exactly what she was looking at. "Ma'am," he ventured, "what exactly did you do on Earth's agricultural colonies?" Margaret looked up from the weapon, a smile creasing her weathered features. "Farming, mostly. Some hunting. Bit of pest control." She gestured to her companions. "We all did our part to keep the colonies running." "And before the colonies?" "Oh, this and that. Military service, mostly. Different branches, different wars, different planets." Her tone was conversational, as if discussing the weather. "Jimmy over there was Special Forces on Kepler 442b during the mining wars. Sarah did 3 tours with the Asteroid Belt Rangers. Most of us put in our 20 to 30 years before retiring to the quiet life." The realization hit Zixthala like a meteor impact. These weren't helpless refugees, they were veterans. Battle-hardened warriors from humanity's legendary military campaigns, now masquerading as simple farmers. "You're from a Deathworld," he whispered, the term carrying weight in galactic military circles, planets so hostile that their inhabitants evolved into natural-born killers, where survival itself was a daily battle against impossible odds. "Earth?" Margaret chuckled. "Sweetie, Earth's practically a garden paradise compared to some places we've called home. You should see Proxima Centauri C in winter, or try farming on Titan during the methane storms." The proximity alarm suddenly screamed across the station. Xerion raiders, a full squadron of their most aggressive fighter craft, had appeared on the sensors, moving to intercept their convoy. Zixthala watched in fascination as the humans transformed. Gone was any pretense of civilian helplessness. Margaret's voice carried the authority of command as she barked orders in rapid-fire human military vernacular. Her people moved with deadly precision, spreading throughout the ship's defensive positions with the fluid grace of apex predators. "Commander," Margaret said, now wearing a combat harness that had materialized from her seemingly innocent luggage, "with your permission, We'd like to assist in our own defense, ma'am. With respect, this is a military operation. His objection died as he watched a human grandfather, who couldn't have been younger than 70 standard years, field strip and reassemble an energy weapon with his eyes closed. Nearby, a woman who looked like someone's kindly grandmother was calculating ballistic trajectories in her head, while casually munching on what appeared to be Earth food. The first wave of Xerian fighters screamed past the station's shields, their plasma cannons lighting up the darkness. Zixthala braced for the familiar chaos of space combat, but what followed defied his understanding of warfare. The humans fought like they had been born in the void between stars. Their movements were economical, precise, devastating. They anticipated enemy tactics with supernatural accuracy, coordinated without apparent communication, and showed absolutely no fear in the face of superior numbers. Margaret O'Brien, 73 standard years old and supposedly a retired farmer, put 3 consecutive shots through the cockpit of a Xerion heavy fighter at maximum range while simultaneously directing her people's defensive positions. How? Zixthala found himself asking as the battle raged around them. Experience, son, Margaret replied, not even breathing hard as she reloaded. When you've spent 40 years keeping colonies alive on worlds that are actively trying to kill you, regular warfare starts to feel like a vacation. The Xerion attack lasted 18 minutes. When it was over, the humans had suffered 0 casualties while completely neutralizing a force 3 times their number. They began securing equipment and treating minor wounds with the same casual competence they had shown in combat. Zixthala stared at these extraordinary beings, these refugees who weren't refugees, these farmers who fought like legendary warriors, these elderly humans who had just demonstrated combat capabilities that exceeded his own elite troops. Commander, Lieutenant Mordak whispered, we need to update our intelligence files on human capabilities. No, Zixthala replied quietly, watching Margaret help a younger human adjust his equipment. We need to update our understanding of what it means to survive on a death world, and we need to be very, very grateful that humanity considers us allies. As Terra's promise prepared to continue its journey, Margaret approached the stunned alien commander one final time. Thanks for the escort, son, though I reckon you understand now. We old Deathworlders don't really need much protection. We are the protection. She paused at the airlock, her pale blue eyes twinkling with something that might have been amusement. Give our regards to anyone who thinks Earth's inhabitants are just harmless farmers. Tell them Margaret O'Brien says hello. The transport ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving Zixthala to contemplate a universe where the galaxy's most fearsome warriors grew vegetables and raised livestock in their spare time, and where retirement was just another word for being ready to unleash hell when called upon. He made a mental note to recommend that Galactic Command immediately upgrade their threat assessment protocols for human civilian vessels. Some farmers, it seemed, had very particular skill sets,